Hi everyone, happy St Patrick's Day, although with everything cancelled and half the world on lockdown, I realise that happy is relative here. You're probably expecting a story about St Patrick. Alas, you're not getting one. Mainly because I was too distracted by the whole global apocalypse situation going on to do the research I would need to make a good video. If you want a story about St Patrick, I made one last year, Siarad Carapat Concalan, and there's a link to it in the description and probably around. It's a good story. It has Cuchulainn in it. Despite the lack of a Patrick story, I think in times like these when all of our normal routines and patterns are falling apart and we're struggling to adjust to a whole new way of doing things, it's worth hearing about medieval literature. For me, it's kind of comforting to know that nothing is new and that we are part of a great continuity of people that stretches backwards into time and hopefully stretches forwards too. Because in the end, some things don't change too much. People have always been people, and some of those people found themselves working from home accompanied by their cats. Which is the subject of the poem I'm going to read for you today, Pangur, sometimes called The Scholar and His Cat. Now, the version I'm going to read is a very loose, vaguely prose translation that I did the last couple of days with help from my very dodgy translation from first year Old Irish classes, and a bit of help from some professional translations. There are a lot of existing translations of this poem, some of which even rhyme and make it poetic, and I'll put a link to some of those in the description. There's also a translation in this book, Early Irish Lyrics, which is a great source for medieval Irish poetry in Irish and translation. So, Mesha ochas Pangur, me and Pangur, both at our own business. His mind's on hunting, mine's on my work. Better than fame, I love this. Sitting at my books, pursuing knowledge. And White Pangur's not jealous. Happy with his childish games. It's a familiar story, the two of us alone at home together. We're never bored when we have our tasks to do. Sometimes, after daring deeds, a mouse is caught in Pangur's net. My own net catches difficult stories and their difficult meanings. Pangur sits watching the wall with his clear, dark eyes. My own eyes are weak, but I keenly watch for knowledge. He takes joy in movement, and a mouse in his sharp claws. When I understand at last the truth of a question, that's my joy. This is our habit, our usual way, neither of us hindering the other. We each love our task, and we happily work alone. Each man is master of this, the work he does each day. Bringing clarity to difficulty, I work at my own task. I think it's clear here that the scholar of this poem is your classic academic working from home, obsessed with his research and happy to do nothing but read and work on his next article. His cat strikes me as a little less typical. I mean, neither of us hinders the other. Are you trying to tell me medieval cats didn't demand attention at exactly the moment their scribe turned a new page? I'm now going to do my best to read the poem for you in Old Irish, and you have to promise not to mock my pronunciation because I'm trying my best. If you want to hear an expert reader, I'll drop a link in the description to the Asnack Spoken Word website and you can hear my supervisor Moira reading it. We have different dialects because my modern Irish is, well, it's a terrible hybrid, but it has a strong Ulster bias. But also generally, if there's a major difference, she's right and I'm wrong. There's that. I just wanted to try and read it to you so you can hear the rhythm of it. Mesha ochas Pangur, cechte natha fria sandan, bith the veneva sav fri sellig, mu men machain im shankerad. Karam shifos fer chach clw, och melefron leir ingnu. Ní forf tech frim Pangur, cared keshin ach machdán. O rubiam, scale ken skis, ina tegdish a noindish. Tathian, do crichir da clush, ní fris taladam a nathius. Gnath hurab aggressive gal, glenad luch in a linshaf, os me, de fuit im lin chain, tligid na dorad kun na drong cael. Furkid se fri frege faal, a rasgan glaise comlan, furchem geen fri fegi fish, muras kreel, kesu im dish. Foilid shemf kun neen dul, heen glen luch in a gerhrub, he tuku kesten dorad na dil, os mekain am foilid. Kia bemi a min nach rei, ni darren kach a chael, mai lechechte nara dan, Subag Thius a Noin Oran. He feshin na chumshid dal, In muid de ni cachan lao, du habit dora du glay, form a muid ken and measure. And now that I've thoroughly embarrassed myself with that, let's move on. Listen, the world right now is scary. We have no control over what happens next, and for those of us living in countries where the government response has been so inadequate, it can feel like we are just caught up in the dizzying swirls of fate with absolutely no power to redirect them. I get it. I've been up till 3 AM the last few nights with anxiety. We have loved ones we care about, friends that we miss. Many of us are struggling financially, and it's hard to feel like things won't just continue to get exponentially worse. The dread seeps in whenever I allow myself to think about it for more than a few minutes. And nothing I say can take the sting out of that. But medieval literature tells us that we are not alone, because people have always been people. And more than 1,000 years ago, a scholar sat at home and wrote poems about his work and about his cat. And in another 1,000 years, I choose to believe that there will still be scholars, and there will still be poems, and there will still be cats. Look after each other. Be kind to yourselves. And I'll see you soon.